Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on our Sunday gathering each and every week as we gather for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. Today's a little sad, and we're just going to go ahead and acknowledge that right off the bat with the passing of Kiska on Friday. But we're gonna gather together, and as we always do, hold each other up. That's just what we do. So today, to get ourselves centered, I've asked Terry to join us. She wrote a beautiful poem. And so if you feel comfortable, you may close your eyes and just take in the words and just really get ourselves centered here for today. So Terry, I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone else. And whenever you're ready, you go right ahead.
Sure. Okay. So I wrote this for Kiska, and I also wrote it for all of us. And it's just a way that we can honor her and also process our own feelings. It's called Orca Wave Weaver. What is one life? I ask clouds, hanging over the hour like hands over eyes. My feet open wings. I hold my heart outward like this. Crow called first, then landed above eye level, in fur of many silences. Then blue-black feathers of Stellar's art clutched the bird feeder, waving as it plucked, and all the littles watched for their turn respectful, not wasting a moment of freedom they hold no word for. I hold up these letters in the light. My heart turns the color of Magnolia's lips, and spirit begins to draw. Rain is held on sky mouth, mute and waiting. A place for the free. A space that does not hold back or contain. An environment, a home, an ocean without ending. Even its beginning does not have a word for it. I imagine your body pulled from its mooring from a life of long hours, a black and white promise, dead food offered for enslaved child, how mothers cry, and how it must have felt to finally find your freedom, how the spirit climbed toward old waves, birthing all your ancestors, your children, how they called and called glad greetings. I imagine how joy finally found you, lifted away as you are now from bones and flesh. I imagine all of us, your well people, looking and looking. Words drop away like all the suffering. There's a place for you, Kiska, beyond any wall or door or tank, beyond every memory and minute of harm, more than a sky or even a heaven. In the far away of endlessness, swim now, proud mama. My being, full of the light of love, follows with a lack of words, your meteor colors diving and soaring away.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you a lot for the courage to be able to read that as well. We, this is all very new, and but already people are showing that Kiska's life matters, and there were more people at this aquarium. There are more people getting on social media. There are more people being a voice. With this recent news, and it's really why we're here, to continue to be a voice and be a voice for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. Howard, is it okay if I check in with you first?
Sure. Thank you. And thank you for that beautiful video to the people that put that together. That was very touching and very respectful and fitting for Kiska. Um, yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm very happy to be here. Grateful for everybody else to join in, and we'll talk more about Kiska later. Thank you.
Deborah?
I don't know. Am I on mute? No.
No, you're good.
Okay. I'm kind of still trying to find the words. I'm still in the kind of in the angry phase and trying to focus on the good people that are here today that are going to continue the good fight in her name. And thanks.
Thank you. Alejandro?
Yes, God bless Kiska. And now we had to focus on Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. We had to put all our best energy just focusing on her. Thank you for having me here. God bless Kiska again. Thank you.
Thank you. Deb Cruz?
Quiet time. Solemn.
Yeah. Christina?
With Deb.
Okay. Today, and Terry, is there anything you want to say in addition to the poem?
Well, I think everyone who shows up and speaks up for every orca that's in captivity is important. And we're all part of this, right? And we can't bring Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut home unless everybody steps forward. And all our feelings are absolutely fine. But we need to just keep being the voice and keep speaking up and just keep bringing more people into the mix. So I'm just glad all of you are here and the people that are watching too.
Thanks, Terry. It's feeling very quiet as well, believe that or not. But I had almost thought about canceling the show and, having 49 minutes of quiet and honoring her 49 years of life. And then it occurred to me, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut's going to keep going, and so we have to as well. And there are two beautiful people joining us today. Well, three. Well, they're all beautiful, by the way, but two beautiful people joining us today who have and have been using their talent to spread awareness, to spread education, to reach folks that may not ever get the information. And that is so important. And so today we have to keep going and honor our special guests today because they really are making a difference. And this is what it's about, is looking for folks who are able to tell this story in their way, in a way that's going to reach different generations, different groups of people. And it matters, and we have to keep reaching out. We have to keep spreading awareness. So that's why we're carrying on today. And Suzanne McAllister, you guys all know Suzanne. Suzanne, if you want to wave. Suzanne McAllister is, she's very active in our groups and in many other groups. But she reached out and wanted to invite a special guest. And I just love that about this show, is that this is everybody's show. So anybody listening, someone who's making a difference in the world of Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, in the world of orcas, feel free to bring them on. But just so you guys know, if you don't know Suzanne, Suzanne McAllister has a PhD in psychology. She learned about Toki in 2012 when she saw the film Lolita, a Slave to Entertainment, and has been advocating for her ever since. She visited Toki in her tank that December because she wanted to make eye contact with her and let her know how much she was remembered and loved. She participates in protests, writes letters, creates petitions, and educates people about the misery of Toki in particular and all captive animals. Since 2020, she's been able to devote herself full time to animal advocacy and started the Post Animal Use World. And we'll put that up in just a minute. The the link there, thepawproject.com. She started that last year, where she welcomes people's vision of a post-animal use world. I had the pleasure to meet Suzanne in person in December in Miami for the TokiTV of Listening, and also she participated in the Bridge of Light the evening before. So Suzanne, welcome. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Annette. And I was just thinking when you were saying that I had invited Derek today. You hoped other people would do that. One of the things I love about this show and what you do is your openness. And so thank you for that. And Derek, I want to thank you for your willingness to be here today. And I was thinking in preparation for introducing you, you and I have never met each other face to face. I don't even remember when I became aware of you or how I became aware of you. I suspect it was through the song, and somehow that song must have popped up in my YouTube feed. And it is so beautiful. And I love the words, many words, and I've listened to it a few times over the last couple of days. A couple of things stand out. One, I love that you wrote it from her point of view. It's Toki basically saying, what the heck happened? How did I end up here? And it is so beautiful. And the other thing is that I know you love to perform with your sister and brother. And I was thinking, you are part of a pod. We're all part of pods. And Toki doesn't get to be part of a pod. So those two things really stood out. Before we listen, and we're going to get to listen to Derek's music in a video, but I wondered, Derek, if you could just tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, how you became a musician, singer, songwriter, and then how you became aware of Lolita Tokite Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. It is an honor to be here with all of you. Thank you, Annette, for hosting, and a special thanks to Howard for being here as well. It's an honor to see you again, sir, and thank you for all your amazing efforts. I, like Suzanne mentioned, I'm Derek Nelson, singer, songwriter, and music producer. A lot of people often recognize me from my millions of views on YouTube, or my role as the guitar player on the hit TV show Glee. Music has always been a part of my life. The fact that music is a universal language is, I think, why I was drawn to try to make an impact with this song. And in order to tell you about, especially to our viewers watching, to tell you about how this song started, I do have to share something that I'm really not proud of, and especially ashamed to share it with this particular community. But I think it's important to talk about because it was a huge pivotal reason of why I began thinking about this. This was probably about 20 years ago now, and we went on a family vacation to Southern California, and we went to San Diego. And while we were in San Diego, we were thinking about what we could do. And someone said, "Oh, SeaWorld's here. Let's go to SeaWorld." And so the whole family went to SeaWorld. And growing up in Olympia, Washington, and in and around the Puget Sound, the symbol of orca whales was prevalent. As all of you know, we have elementary schools with mascots of orca whales. The culture is so deeply embedded around these beautiful animals. So we were really excited to be able to go see the orca show. We bought our ticket. We sat down on the bleachers. People started to file in. People had snacks and drinks and cameras. And the show started. And I was so excited. Everyone's cheering. You see this beautiful animal soar out of the water. and it's coordinated to lights and music, and it's a spectacle. And a few minutes into the show, and remember, I've been around theater, I've been on stage, I've been around performances my entire life. A few minutes into this show, I started feeling sick. And I'm a kid. I don't really know enough about my own body to be aware enough about what's happening in my mind and in my heart and in my soul. But I start to feel sick to my stomach. I'm trying to figure it out. And we're watching this show. And the next minute, I look over at my sister. She's not smiling anymore. Her lips are pursed and tears are streaming down her face. And that was the moment that changed me. And to see that show end and to see people clap, get their snacks, leave their popcorn strewn about on the ground, and shuffle out to the next show to see the next event, it changed me. I think we have to be made uncomfortable sometimes in order to inspire a change in perspective. And we have to be made uncomfortable in order to inspire change. And that level of discomfort was so prevalent for me in that moment. And talking about it afterwards with our family, I realized I made a promise to myself at that moment. I will never give another dollar to any business that promotes, exploits, and especially profits from animals in captivity. Fast forward maybe 10 years later, and there's a documentary that's released called Blackfish. I watched that film in horror, and it opened my eyes to what I believe the missing piece is for so many of those other people on those bleachers with me that day. The mindset is they leave that show and the show's over. But they're not thinking about, what does this animal do when the lights go out, when the sun goes down, and when the gates close? And more importantly, where did this animal come from? Those are the questions that people need to be asking themselves. The answers to those questions, if more people are asking them, is what will prevent this from ever happening again in the future. So I started thinking about what I can do with the things that I'm passionate about to be able to share that same level of discomfort that I felt on those bleachers that day. If I can create something that can make somebody feel a little shred of the level of discomfort that I felt, it might encourage them to start asking those same questions that I asked myself. What happens when the gates close and the people leave? How long will she be here? And more importantly, how did she get here in the first place? So I wrote this song, and I think it's so magnificent, Suzanne, that you picked up on something that was really important to me, which was to convey that element of family and to write it from Toki's perspective, because of the emotional impact of how we can connect with each other through music. And if we can create that connection and have it be from her voice, she can't speak for herself. So we have to be her voice. And that's what I wanted to accomplish in this song, was create a voice for the voiceless, and then also involve my family as an extra level of reinforcing that beautiful symbol of pod, of family. So I share this with this video with you now in hopes that that it inspires you and also makes you a little bit uncomfortable. And that's the point, is to tell her story. And without further ado, it's my honor to share with you all my song Lolita. Cold are the currents we follow that lead to the coast. Steady the wind in the sails of the greedy man's boat, breaking the waves on my back as they get me alone. They'll stop at nothing to take me from all that I've known. Oh, let me go, let me go. Back to the waters I know, where the waters run cold. Serving a sentence for a crime that I don't understand. Is a body in shape the definitive trait of a man? For I have a heart and a soul and a family. By the laws that you live by, doesn't that mean that I should be free? Oh, let me go, let me go. Oh, back to the waters I know, where the waters run cold to the sea. This dream to be free keeps me up at night. I hear the voice of my mother ringing in my ears, and nobody else seems to notice. Such is the life of the blackfish. Round and around go the years as I circle the drain. Decades of waiting on a verdict that won't change the pain. 'Cause once you've known freedom, that feeling cannot be erased. But in order to know that, you have to have been in my place. Oh, let me go, let me go. Oh, back to the waters I know, back to the currents that I call home, back to the waters I know, where the waters run cold. Thank you, everybody.
Wow, Derek, thank you so much. You can't hear everyone clapping because I muted everyone. Sorry, everyone. I'm going to unmute you. I'm going to clap again. There you go. Seriously, thank you. What a beautiful song written from her perspective. And I put the website up, and you guys, I'll put that back up in a second, but dereknelson.com.
Yes.
Go there, read more about Derek. it's not just one cause. You're involved in so many things and you stand for so much, and you're an amazing, amazing person. And thank you for sharing a little bit of that with us today. You're welcome back anytime. But you guys, seriously, go check out the site. Derek, if you get notices of your downloads, you're going to see a bunch from me today because I've been downloading all your music today. It's all very, very good. Alejandro wants to say something.
Yes, just I want to say
I want
thank
to
you
say
so
something
much.
too.
No, okay. No, first I am. No fight here. Peace and love.
You first, Alejandro.
No,
Go ahead.
just I want to say thank you so much, Derek, for your powerful words. Your family is amazing, and you are the new generation. Okay, you're gonna give the new generation the right message. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for
I appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
You're amazing.
Derek, I want to just thank you again for coming today and always being willing. Whenever I reached out, you always responded, and I know how busy you are. I also love how people are talking about this next generation, which is wonderful that there are people like you coming up behind us. And I have to say that I keep having a fantasy that when Toki is lowered into that sea pen, hopefully this summer, that you will be there with a new song that honors her being back home, and that song you wrote reached the people it needed to reach, whether they knew it or not, and she's going home.
Yeah,
So
we want you
we
there.
no
We want you
longer-
there, Derek. We want you there.
Yes,
Thank you, Suzanne.
thank you.
I would be honored. Oh, that gives me chills. Thank you, Suzanne.
We're all going to be there holding hands. And
Yes.
we are. There's going to be so many of us. We're going to be like shoulder to shoulder, just packed in. But that's okay, because it's going to be such a beautiful day. Deborah, anything you would like to say to Derek before we move?
Derek, thank you. This wasn't in a good place when the show started. I watched your video more than once, I can honestly say. And it gives me another little pearl of hope that one person could go in and see a captive whale and come out changed. So thank you. We just need about a billion more people doing what you did, is going in and seeing the truth and doing something about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Terry?
Boy, I'm just blown away. Derek, your music is so powerful, and the story that you tell, your generation, all the generations are going to come together on this one. And this is the moment, and you showed up. And I want to say hi, Sk'aliCh'elh, for being here and sharing your music with us and your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. And beautiful poem. While I have a chance to tell you, thank you so much for starting the show with that beautiful poem.
Thank you.
Yeah, for those of you who are just joining or joined late, you definitely want to go back and watch the first 10 minutes of this show. Deb Cruz?
Thank you for the hope.
Christina? I'm sorry, you're muted. You were muted. I'm sorry, Christina. Go ahead.
It's my birds. I'm sure they like your song too. They were really singing a lot when it was on. So, yeah, it's good. I was muted. It's a beautiful video and song, and I really appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you do, because, like you said, music is a universal voice, and you know, the feeling is just it's just pure love, and you can just see that and feel it in the music. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Howard, Professor Howard?
Thanks for being here, Derek, and singing your song and telling your story, which I don't know if I had heard before, but it is a very powerful story that speaks of deep awareness and empathy, and you may have not known much about your emotions as such a young person, but you had them, you felt them, and you grew from your awareness, your revelation of seeing that orca at SeaWorld. And please give my love to your beautiful sister and your brother and your mom, who I met with all of you when your family came to the Whale Center so many years ago. And it's really good to see you again. It's been too long. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Howard. It's amazing to see you again. And thank you again for the amazing work that you're doing. It's truly incredible. For those of you who have not seen the Whale Center and experienced everything that the Orca Network has to share, what a fantastic wealth of information and resources for how to take some next steps in making what we want to have happen. So thank you again, Howard.
Derek, I just want to share, because I mean, I knew the story about, you know, how this touched your heart, but I hadn't heard the story about you in SeaWorld. And I just want to share, when you looked over at your sister, it just reminds me, I took my daughter for the very first time about 5 years ago. We went to go pray with all the animals at SeaWorld. And, you know, I've never raised her to go there and all of that. And so she's had this history of being my kid. So she's very aware. And we sat there and it was during the show, and we were sitting there and we were praying, and I thought she was going to be embarrassed, you know, but she wasn't. She was there praying with us. And, you know, the orca comes up and does the spin, and I looked over at her, and she had been through her anger stage. She was fighting with, you know, some of the trainers who were talking, you know, she was arguing, I would say, and, you know, she was getting really frustrated with the claps and all that. But when I looked at her and I saw this, it was this grief, and tears were just coming down her face. And she got up and she says, "We're leaving." And she says, "I know what that whale had to go through to do that trick," you know. And it was just that, like, I didn't realize how traumatizing that would be for her. But to hear her conversations that she has with her friends, and I know she has prevented many summer trips to parks just because they've heard her, and so you have to experience that. And so thank you for, again, I think Christina said it, for turning that around, or Deborah said that, turning that around into something positive to spread awareness. And you're amazing, and we do look forward to the next song. Have a few people I'd like you to collaborate with, so I'll be in touch with that off of here. But speaking of new generations, we have Catherine with us today, and Catherine wrote a children's book. So Catherine Baralaga, I hope I said that correctly. Alejandro, I'm going to let you do a quick introduction of Catherine, and I just want to put a little plug that this book, so guys, go get your little blankets and your pillows, because she's going to read us a children's story, and you're going to recognize one of the characters in that story, Alejandro.
But before the introduction, I just wanted to say thank you, Derek, for sharing the beautiful song that you wrote. I thought it was amazing, and beautiful voice, by the way, and beautiful family.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, what I'm going to say is, like, Catherine is a writer of the Toki Story children's book. She was inspired by my activism since 2014. Most of you know I have been fighting for her release, for her freedom. When I knowing the story of TokiTV broke my heart so bad. You know, I know that they killed their family, you know, so I start fighting, doing my best, TV station, radio stations. I want to introduce Catherine Baralaga now. She's a writer of this book. It's for children. I think it's amazing because we go straight to the point, you know, just to get Lolita, Tokita, Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut released and going home. Go ahead, Catherine. It's your turn now. Thank you so much.
All right. Hello, my name is Catherine Baralaga. Yes, like Alejandro mentioned, in the beginning of my journey to animal rights activism, I met Alejandro when I began protesting at Miami Seaquarium. And I was really inspired by just the leadership skills of how he's really devoted his entire life, his like his whole, he puts his soul and his all of him to doing this for Lolita, to being Lolita's voice. So when I began writing the book, I knew it was going to be based off of him. I was like a secret admirer, or like yeah, I was secretly admiring him, and I wrote this book originally. Just a fun fact, the boy was going to be named Alex, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to reach out to Alejandro and let him know that I'm writing this book, and let him know that the main character is based off of him, or influenced from, you know, the work he's done. And so he was like, oh, you should have reached out sooner. And luckily I hadn't published the book yet. And he's like, no. And then so a lot of the book is actually influenced by him. So I was really glad that I reached out on time. And so we changed the name into Alejandro, and I was able to not be so secretive about the admiration, but I was really like exposed, you know, what the book was about, and the background on it, on how it was based off Alejandro. So without further ado, I'm gonna share the book with you. Can I present on here? I'm gonna try to present the book on the PDF version.
Yes, you should be able to if you go to present there and then slides,
Okay.
and then pick from your computer.
All right.
So if you hit the plus sign at the bottom, you should see something that says present, I think.
Okay. Can you see it?
Okay, I'm going to add it right now. Ready? Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Do you see the book?
we do.
You do. Okay. So let me see if I can make it fit the screen. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not the most tech savvy.
That's okay. Maybe at the top right next to the X, I wonder if you can make the whole screen bigger.
Oh, here.
Oh, maybe not.
Okay. Okay. So, well, let me see. Maybe if I just make it just fit a little bit better, this might be better.
Okay.
All right. This is Freedom Toki Story, written by Catherine Barralaga and my illustrator and designer, Iman Bani Stevens. Okay, purpose. This is Freedom Toki Story is the second book in the series that shares the journey to liberation of different animals that are held in various types of captivity. In releasing this series, Catherine Barralaga aims to educate and spread awareness to youth about the realities of animal confinement. She also wishes to empower young people to be the change they want to see in the world. Lastly, Catherine's ultimate goal is to provide a voice for the voiceless. Toki was an orca who lived in the Mandu Aquarium, a well-known marine park in the city of Mandu. The local residents and many people from all over the world adored Toki. She was the main attraction of the aquarium. She did amazing flips, enormous splashes, and graceful bows. She always left her fans coming back for more. Toki loved seeing the smiles on children's faces, and she appreciated her trainers for keeping her company. But deep down inside, she was very sad. She remembered the days when she swam in the wide open ocean with her pod, which included her mom, grandma, and many close family members. Toki and her pod did everything together. They hunted for food, swam long distances, and dove deep to the bottom of the sea. That all changed for Toki when she was captured from the ocean. She was 6 years old. That's when she was brought to the Mondo Aquarium and was placed in a small tank. She was taught to perform tricks for food. Life at the aquarium was so different from life back home in the ocean. She didn't have much room to swim, and she didn't have anyone to communicate with. Toki was very lonely in her tank, but her dream of one day being reunited with her pod kept her alive. A boy named Alejandro went to visit the Mondo Aquarium with his classmates on a school field trip. They were excited to meet Toki after learning about orcas all week at school. When they arrived, Alejandro and his classmates rushed to the Toki Stadium just in time for the first performance of the day. As always, she put on a spectacular show, and the students were amazed by her performance. They could not stop talking about how cool Toki was as they exited the stadium. Alejandro decided to stay behind to see more of Toki. But after the show was over, she didn't move much at all. She seemed so bored just floating at the top of her tank. If I lived in a tiny tank all by myself, I would be pretty bored too, Alejandro said to himself. On his way home, Alejandro could not stop thinking about Toki. He couldn't help but wonder if she was happy. He wanted to find out more, so when he got home, he began to research orcas. He learned that in the wild, orcas stay with their pods their entire lives. They love to play and hunt for food and can even swim up to 140 miles a day. He also learned that they live much longer in the wild than they do in captivity. Alejandro knew that Toki was not able to do any of those things living in her small tank. She had no friends to play with and spent most of her time just floating in the tank. He realized a tank was no place for an orca. He knew he had to do something to help Toki. He began by teaching his family and friends about the ways orcas live in the wild versus Toki's life at the aquarium. He met a lot of people who cared about Toki and wanted her to be free. They got together in front of the aquarium every weekend in a peaceful protest to educate others about Toki, the orca living in the small tank. Many people tried to persuade the owner of the aquarium to let Toki go, but he didn't want to. Alejandro and his team did not give up. They were on a mission to help Toki, so they continued to spread the word. It took a lot of hard work, but eventually it paid off. The parking lots of the Mondo Aquarium were empty. Nobody wanted to buy tickets anymore. The owners of the Mondo Aquarium had no choice but to close down and let Toki go. Alejandro and his community could not believe it. Toki was finally going to be set free. but they had to make sure she was healthy and strong before she could return to the ocean. Toki had to learn how to hunt for fish by herself again, hold her breath underwater, swim for long distances, and many more things that she was not able to do in her tank. Toki had to eat twice as much as she was eating before to get as big as the other orcas in the ocean. And people worked with her every day to learn all the things she needed to know how to survive in the wild. They taught her little by little and practiced until she could do it all on her own. It wasn't long before Toki regained her strength and natural way of being. Toki was now ready to go home. Alejandro and his community prepared Toki for her trip back to the ocean. She was nervous, but she knew that she was in good hands. Upon her arrival, a pod of orcas making whistling sounds swam nearby. After they lowered Toki into the ocean in a big net, they released her and she swam away with a splash of her fin. It was her way of saying thank you to the people who helped set her free. Toki whistled back to the orcas as if she knew they were her pod. Alejandro waved goodbye as she swam away with her family and yelled out, "This is freedom." And that's the end.
That's beautiful. Oh, I have everyone muted. You can't hear the clapping. Go ahead, keep clapping. Thank you, Catherine. That's beautiful. And then I see that you have questions there for sparking discussion.
Yes, I had some questions because I know, just to make it a little interactive at the end, some questions the kids can, or teachers, if they're reading it to their class, they can ask the kids like what they learned from the book. So some of the questions are, what do you call a group of orcas? What were some ways Toki's life was different in the wild versus in captivity? How did Alejandro and his friends help Toki prepare for her return to the ocean? And how do you think Toki felt when she realized that she was being reunited back to her home or with her family? So
beautiful. So beautiful. I had the pleasure of meeting Catherine in December as well. She came to the public portion of the conference, and I gave her a quick hug, but I just am so inspired by you and what you're doing, Catherine, and going around and reading this to other going and actually doing the book readings, and then all the teachers that have had access to this book. Tell us, is Amazon the best way to get this book, or what's the best way for people to get this book?
Yes, Amazon is the best way to purchase. I'm also working on getting my website back on. It's been down, but I'm working on getting it back up. But for now, Amazon is the best way to get it.
Please let us know once that's up, because I'd like to promote people to get them directly from you. But this is what the cover of the book is. If you guys go to Amazon, this is Freedom, Toki's story. I just sent a couple out to some folks on this panel, so we're all going to have our copies. Just amazing work, Catherine. I'm going to check in with everyone. Howard, let's check in with you first.
Okay. Well, I hear. What can I say? I mean, is this?
I'm just curious on if you had read the book before, or your thoughts on the book.
No, I just read the book with Catherine right here. It was wonderful. It's great. And Alejandro, you're immortalized. You're now
better to say that. Better to say that.
Yeah.
It's
great.
My God.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope we have that at the Whale Center. If we don't, we must.
Yes, I also want to say I'm really inspired by your work too. I've seen you in the documentaries, and I've always been inspired by the work you do as well. And I hope to get a chance to go to the Well Center one of these days.
I'll send an email after this connecting the two of you so that we can get that book there. And I'll let you two work out the details of that because that would be great. We can get that there. Deborah?
Catherine, so much gratitude, so much respect. A little more hope. Thank you. The fact that an activist on the outside of what Derek saw inside starts this change of this thing that you did, this book that you made, and the children that it's going to reach. Because as like Alejandro, I'm a 20-year activist, and it's children. So you reach out to the children, you know, and you're doing that, and that's important. That's where the change happens. So again, a little more hope after this difficult week. Thank you.
Suzanne?
Well, I'm going to a 4-year-old's birthday party on Saturday, and guess what her gift is going to be?
Absolutely.
So thank you. I loved it. Thank you, Catherine. And it's just a wonderful way to reach young people in such a natural, simple way. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Derek? Sorry, I put you on the spot,
I
right?
can't wait to hear a copy of the book. I thought it was beautiful. The illustrations are magnificent, and the arc of the entire story. I was just imagining reading it to a child and seeing their eyes light up at the beginning, seeing this beautiful orca whale in a gorgeous stadium, and these children cheering for her, and then that moment of realization of, oh, she's sad. Why is she sad? I think it really it perfectly tells the story of the feeling I was describing when I shared with everybody sort of my reveal that unfortunately I've been to SeaWorld. So amazing work, and thank you so much for your artistry and your storytelling, and for putting this out there. I think it does start with the next generation, and so having the tools and resources available like this is really special. So thank you.
Thank you.
Terry?
Wow, I really loved your story and the way you told it. It was great to see Alejandro there included. And boy, I'm really impressed also with your illustrator. I thought every page was beautifully done. You know, even the little signs, Toki is sad. And I can't wait to buy 2 copies for my 2 granddaughters. So, and thanks for being here and reading your work for us.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention also how I found that it was really important to educate people, the children, on it's not just about setting her free, but the rehabilitation. Because a lot of people think, oh, she can't go home, like she doesn't know how to be an orca anymore, or doesn't know how to live in the natural environment. So I thought it was important to mention how she's not just going to be thrown in there, that we're going to rehabilitate and work with her to get her strong and healthy. And so I felt it was important for the children to know that as well, so they can also advocate and share that with others.
That's awesome. Christina?
Hi, yeah. It's just amazing, actually. The book is adorable. It's so well made, and the theme today is interesting. I myself have been to SeaWorld in 1972, so that was a long time ago. But I had a very similar experience as your sister, and it was really hard for me to listen to that story today, especially with emotions so high. But this book is it's just darling, and I have it right here. And I will be actually reading this book in my local town at the library and the local elementary store. And I wait to share your book. It's just adorable. And thank you.
I want to say something. I can. It's my turn.
Okay,
No,
it's your turn. You can go in front of Deb Cruz.
no. First, no. Deb, respect. Sorry. Go ahead, Deb. Yeah, at the end. Yeah, go. Yeah, she go first. Yeah,
So
go ahead.
I
Go
want
ahead.
to so I want to know where you were 10 years ago when my kids were small enough to read a book and appreciate it. Thank you very much for that. That's going to be a must read.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, what I'm gonna say three things. The book is in Spanish. I translate in Spanish the book because she wrote in English. I said, okay, I will do it in Spanish for you. So I had to do the same with the Marcia Henton Davis book, Extra in Love Lolita. I promised her to do it in Spanish. I will do the translation too. Another thing is, I told Catherine, I want you to add the information, the lamination, about the lamination. And we mentioned in that book, we mentioned Orca Network, Sacred Sea, the Whale Sanctuary. Everything is focused on TokiTV. Even the proceeds goes to Sacred Sea. It's the first thing I asked Catherine. I don't want anything for me. Just to let everybody knows. I have my job and I pay my bills with my own work, with my own efforts. So another thing is, like I want to say, when Catherine maybe can mention, we did a school. Remember when you invited me to shine the school, elementary school? I took my walking billboard. I was working in the classroom, and she told the story. I don't know if we have some pictures of. You didn't share any picture.
I don't have them to show right now, but
Oh,
I can give them to you later. Maybe you can, or yeah, maybe we can show them. But yes, any school that allows Alejandro, me to invite a guest, so Alejandro is able to go. And even before because during COVID times they weren't allowing this, but we did via Zoom, or I think it was Zoom, yeah. And he joined along, and he talked to the kids, and they're so cute. They're like, oh, that's the guy in the book, like, so they recognize him from the book. So it's always nice to have him.
That's really awesome. And when did you write the book again, Catherine?
In 2019.
In 2019. So gosh, just again, what a place we're in now, compared to where we were in 2019, and back from 1970 all the way until this last year. So much has happened in the last year, and I know it's been a rough weekend, but things are still moving for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut in the right direction, with her team, Friends of Toki, and the work that they're doing with her, to get her prepared to come home. And, thank goodness, again, the Dolphin Company purchased MSQ from the previous owners, who would not even attempt to listen to a conversation, much less engage in one. So we're in a great place, and we're going to keep meeting each and every week for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. We're going to keep coming up with ways to share this information. So Derek and Catherine, thank you so much for being with us and using your talent again in a way to reach multiple people. If any of you know teachers or someone from a school and you think that this would be helpful, reach out to me and I'll get them a book, because the more kids that we can read this to, the better. So if you guys know anyone like that who works in a school, reach out to me. And TokiTV will gift some books so that we can get more people to read those. Gosh, just so amazing. And yes, and Alejandro had sent me some pictures before. I don't know that I can get them loaded that fast, but I think we showed them before, but we'll make sure to show them. It's absolutely adorable that you wrote this book about, that Alejandro was able to inspire this. Again, just you see how the web is all connected, right? Like Alejandro's doing what Alejandro does, and you see it, and you're inspired, and you go do this, and you share it, and teachers start sharing it, and then kids start reading this with their parents, and just the kids are the ones that are going to teach the adults here, because they get it. They do. I saw that in the comments a bunch of times. The kids absolutely get it. So yeah.
Annette, I'm gonna tell you something because you're right. Just 2 years ago, I was at the Miami Aquarium. Just a family was in the car. They were getting out, And she stopped in front of me and said, we are leaving. I said, why? Because my daughter is crying. She's in the back, is crying. She don't want to get in. She saw the I don't know, the signs, and the girl felt so sad, and she said, don't gonna get in, so we are leaving. We are leaving. It's amazing how children's sometimes they get more feelings than other people. They feel in a different way. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Thank you. And just any closing words, Howard. I just want to check in with you. It's been a rough weekend, and you're one of our many fearless leaders. And if you have any words of hope or inspiration as we move forward from this weekend that you can share, can you please do that?
Well, I had some thoughts about Kiska, even though I never really met her, certainly never got up close and personal. I think I may have seen her very briefly about 1994 during a protest when I was not really welcome at the place. And so I was looking over my shoulder for the security to come get me. So I didn't get a chance to get to know her at all. And what I wonder is, did anybody, was there anyone who gave her the love and respect and companionship and the quality time that she must have needed and would have responded to? I'm sure that she can't be that different from Toki, and we know Toki loves company and loves affection and kind words and song and just a warm voice and someone to be with her. I don't know that Kiska ever had that. The park there, Marineland, is notorious for being a harsh place, a fortress. Nobody is allowed to say anything about what goes on inside, and the owner has been a fierce battler against any critics or any kind of protests, and the welfare of all the animals, the dolphins, the bears, the belugas, has been horrible, what's been documented. So the atmosphere, the whole sort of working attitude has always been, they're dispensable. They're just show animals. When you need them, you show them, otherwise you pay no attention. There was even a very infamous warehouse where Keiko was held, and where another little whale named Junior was warehoused, under a roof in a kind of a kiddie pool, and was kept there for years until he died. And I know they were not given the kind of love and affection that they need. And I think we're very fortunate for Marcia Hinton, who is with us today. And she had 8 years with Toki, and her book just out, Pretty Day, Nice Colors, tells that story. In her interview from 1995, convinced me that she had a very special relationship with Toki. There it is. Mm-hmm. And when I interviewed Ken about a year ago, asking him, and we played this on TokiTV several weeks ago, ask him, why does he think Toki has held on? How has she survived all these years in that tiny concrete tank? And his answer surprised me. He said right off, I think she was given a lot of love. And right from the start, the guy, the veterinarian who was sent out to select her, had a big heart, and he cared about her, and he saw something in her right there. He named her Tokitai, and he said very, very publicly, she is so courageous and yet so gentle. And I think that is just still so true. I mean, sort of covers the spectrum of her abilities, and he saw that in her. And I would guarantee that Kiska had those same qualities, but did anyone see those? And did anyone relate to her in that way? In all of that time, I don't know, and I kind of doubt it. And so it just, kind of doubles the tragedy that she died there and nobody ever got to know her. Nobody ever appreciated her for who she was. So that's sort of my feeling and my, I guess, my lesson from Kiska's life is when they're in captivity, even, I mean, that's a horrible fate right there, or condition, but it can be made so much better with a kind voice, with some love and affection, and she will respond as Toki has, Kiska would have, I'm sure. So that's what I learned.
Thank you, Howard. And for anybody listening or watching, if you have gone in multiple times, or if you had any direct stories with Kiska and you want to share those with all of us, reach out to me this week, and we can have you pop on next week.
Yeah.
We would love to know more about her, and we will keep her memory strong. I just want to do something real quick, and I hadn't thought of this, but right now at a recent event at the sorry, Deb, I was trying to do you a favor. In honoring Hugo, let's just do that. So 3 times, if you feel comfortable, raise your hands up and say with me, Kiska,
Kiska,
we love and respect you.
we love and respect you.
Kiska, we love and respect you.
Kiska,
We
we love you.
love and
respect you.
Kiska, we love and respect
Love
you.
and respect you.
Kiska, we love and respect you.
We love and respect you.
Thank you all. We'll see you next week.
Let me go. Back to the waters I know, where the waters run cold to the sea. This dream to be free keeps me up at night. I hear the voice of my mother ringing in my ears, and nobody else seems to notice. Such is the life of the blackfish. Round and around go the years as I circle the drain. Decades of waiting on a verdict that won't change the pain. 'Cause once you've known freedom, that feeling cannot be erased. But in order to know that, you have to have been in my place. Let me go, let me go. Back to the waters I know, back to the currents that I call home, back to the waters I know, where the waters run cold.